So happy Easter. This is the third time that I'm starting this. The first time, Tai, my orange and white old guy cat, jumped up with his butt right in the camera, and I thought, okay. And then the second time I just stopped because it was going nowhere that I really cared to go. It's Easter of 2021, and I'm thinking to myself, well, how did that passion of me go this year? It's been a pretty rough couple of years with a divorce, and entire family hops out and doesn't want anything to do with me. Oh no, I'm terrible, I'm awful, and where do I go? Well, I was left with a lot of time on my hands, and all of those chapters have closed out now for the most part. And ironically enough, not so ironic, it's Easter time, it's spring renewal, it's rebirth. It's not a surprise to me. It just so happens that it's happening during Easter week. That here's a chance to look at that, Kate, and reevaluate. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Are you sure about that? How about that? How about that? And as I've gone through this process and been physically unwell and definitely emotionally just devastated, that everything I ever knew was disrupted, blown apart, and I had nothing. And man, oh man, how do I rebirth out of that? Well, Phoenix rising, man, go down in a flame and say, how can I use this and rebirth and renew and get a better resurrection revival story going, that I don't ever have that experience again, first of all, and can come through and bring my mission forward of what it is that I want to do, which is to help people reach their emotional freedom. If you can reach your emotional freedom, then you don't need me to quantum entangle badly with thee, and we won't, because we're both responsible for our own personal emotional hygiene, our sleep hygiene, our everything about us on our own. And that doesn't mean that we don't ask for help or that we don't gain help from other people. And true help is support in allowing me to be the fullest expression of me, right? And if I'm being held back or I'm holding someone back, if the equation that I'm throwing at somebody is imbalanced and it's wrong math, I'm going to get a wrong equation back, because we're setting it up in that dynamic of the premise on which that is built is already wrong. So everything after it is going to be wrong. And 53, I'm almost 53 this year. And I had a chance over the last 3 years was when I started going through this major transformation with myself. And within that year, I was left to figure it out even faster at an accelerated pace of how much do you wish to do and how much do you wish to do it bad enough to keep on going through it. And Phoenix rising, like, what is it I'm not getting? And what I'm really about is my priorities are to help people find their own divinity, their own freedom, their own emotional stability, and the ability to handle that I will disappoint you. You will disappoint me. That's the way that is. We're not human and undeniably imperfect. We are absolutely imperfect. We're flawed. And we don't have to be jerks and buttholes on top of it. However, we end up in those quantum entanglements with bad math and wrong equations when we've been hurt, when we haven't been able to go through that betrayal experience on Friday and then rise by Sunday. 3 lifetimes, 3 days, it doesn't matter. 3 no ways, because Jesus understood that concept very well and embodied it. And I don't subscribe exclusively to Christianity. However, universal life force, when we're wrapping emotion into it, love is the frequency. It's the highest one we have. It's the highest vibration. The one that the heart chakra, every single organ, every single organism has its own vibration. It's what we're made of. We are vibration and frequency. And people that are freaking it wrong near me, we're going to be incompatible. And to keep dueling it out and finding another way to, well, are we gonna do that bad math this way? Well, how about this way? It's all based in a wrong assumption right from the very beginning that dysfunction is born out of pain, emotional pain. So how may I turn Easter this year into a gain of, I got dumped, I don't have any family, nobody loves me, and I'm here, it's Easter Sunday 2021, and I have no housing after May 1st of 2021. Everything went to court, and I'm here, and no housing, no ability as it's perceived right at this moment to deal with, where am I gonna go, what am I gonna do? And 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I would have just not been able to deal with that at all, wouldn't have been able to cope with it, and didn't, and was spending a lot of time, not in my sublime, I was spending a lot of time running away and, powering down, going to sleep, and trying to deal with stuff in ways that conventional therapies and conventional ideas were given to me that just didn't work because they weren't fixing the problem at its root cause. I can journal all day about the feelings, and it's not ever going to alchemize or transmute the energy of that. Energy is neither changed nor destroyed. Pardon me. It's neither created nor destroyed. It already is. So it's either transmuted or it's not. But the energy is still there. So the energy and synergy of bad math, transmute that stuff and it'll go away. And it won't instantly, just unicorn fantasy go away. There's still those exchanges. However, it's going to help enormously whenever I can wake up and see that, that equation is incorrect because it's built on the wrong premise right from the beginning. It's wrong assumption. If blah, blah, blah is, then blah, blah, blah. We were in a if blah, 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 then blah, blah, blah that was wrong. Every single relationship that I had was wrong because it was based on a wrong understanding, based on what I was sending out, which is part of me is dysfunctional. I can't handle anything. I'm disempowered because I'm giving away my power to other people and believing that they have the ability and the responsibility to help me with my emotional needs. And a history of trauma, blah, blah, blah. Yes, indeed. And I'm absolutely not going to make light of that. It's not funny, and it's certainly not anything to be denied or pretend like it doesn't exist. That's why my entire life hopped over and went somewhere, Judas, and what was that? And somebody has to be bringing it forward that that's based on pain. And though I'm not responsible for other people's pain, I'm certainly self-accountable and self-responsible enough to know that it's not going to help anything for me to throw it forward and entangle with that in a way that is assuming the assumption is bad right from the beginning still. Because I do know and I do understand that, that's energy. It's neither created nor destroyed. It just is. And how do I alchemize and transform that so that I transform me, that I don't get into, incorrect math assumptions anymore, that the laws of nature, gravity, etc., they're already laid out. I don't have to sit around and wonder. However, I might want to take a look at how many times am I allowing myself to be led up to a 30-story building. No, go jump out that. You'll learn, you'll figure it out. The tree will grow right there. That branch will grow right out. I went splat just like that, and I didn't know what was wrong. So I assumed based on wrong assumption that there's something with me. And it is. It's me being very poor at math. Basic math says one person and one person equals two. And new math, quantum understanding, is one thing with another thing creating synergistically a third thing. Sort of like a parent, mom, and a dad create child. That's a third identity that has nothing to do with those two. It's a little bit of each. And those entanglements, those synergistic entanglements, that's every piece of every part that we're relating, and definitely in relationships that we're bringing me and thee together, and we're creating this synergy. I like my synergy to be more trinergy, where the trinity of me understands me, that relationship, and what we're bringing forth. I want that to be wholesome and holy and sacred, and not have to wrap it around any particular religion or dynamic other than I support me being the fullest expression of me, and I'm able to really support you in that expression of you without there being the paradigm shoving me through a established plan of what it should look like. It should look like this. Nope. Anybody that was throwing that at me, I was happy on some other level somewhere to exchange it back. It was just bad math. So how does Sunday, Easter Sunday, resurrection look today? Well, it looks like somebody who has an upset stomach and, not very glorious for somebody who ascended. And, that I'm not able to sit up and say today that, please, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. When we're in those relationships, we're blind, and not seeing it if we're pushing forward in that pain and not really taking it in, because it's difficult to look into those dark places and shadow work, etc. A lot of that stuff for me can be very much transformed and transmogrified and changed. Yeah, alchemized, transformed. That was very almost instant to get to, oh, I'm in the wrong paradigm. I have to go back and remember who I was before I lost my identity entirely to a toxic dynamic and the people that perpetrated it on from where they learned it, etc. There's no shame or blame needing to be thrown forward, because it just adds more to the problem, which I don't care to be adding more to the problem. Be a problem solver? How do I do that? Well, just start solving the problem. That's bad math. Let's see. What are the steps that I can take? The steps that I can take are, I'm responsible for me, and how do I know that I can take care of myself emotionally and everything else? Because if I get locked into my emotions and I'm leading with that, I might start making some janky decisions and whoops, fall down and not be my best self and start, throwing some attitude and some shade and get stank about things. And there's no more time in my life. I'm turning 53 at the end of May, and I don't want to spend time working it out with people that don't really want to work it out because of the pain, because of the choices, the guilt, the shame, etc. There's accountability for everyone on this planet. What am I doing to bring that math badly to the equation? Because coming through and saying, look, this is what I'm about. This is my equation. And what's your equation? It's already set up to be incorrect if I'm assuming that my equation is right and it's the only right way to get it done. And vibrationally, if I'm feeling that it doesn't matter what the mouth is saying the equation is, it can be crammed and jammed through any religious view or parental or book or influence, it doesn't matter. If I'm cramming and jamming my frequency, that my feet are really doing this, but my mouth is saying something different, it doesn't matter what the equation is. I can go back and look at everything. Well, this is where you made the error, and this is where you made the error, and this is because we understand inside of us energetically that something just isn't quite right. And as an energy reader, that used to confuse me because I didn't really understand that well enough until I got out of it. Oh, I see. So every time I was disempowered, every time I was taking someone else's power as they are allowing me to do, and I was allowing, it's the point of accountability. How may I be accountable for what I'm doing without hopping on the self-recrimination and the shame trip? That's how humans were dealing with it, kind of. However, the new paradigm, the age of Aquarius is here. Beep. How about let's try bring it up to speed with what's a better way that my synergy can work forward to bring healing for me, and it necessarily means there's healing for thee, whoever thee is, because I'm going to come into that assumption with the correct understanding of what I'm about. And if I'm a jumbled up thing over here, just a whole bunch of algebraic equation that I don't even know what it is, and I don't have a guidebook that's really reliable and sacred text that's not held in regard by every single person on the planet, that's going to be hard. You're going to run into opinion and you immediately have wrong assumption. So I really have been thinking about it. And natural law and order really set it up just fine. And I don't have to believe in God specifically. I believe in the divine and energy, which the highest vibrational stuff are those juicy feel goods. And if we haven't had a lot of that, or we don't know how to really fan that flame within, or we think somebody else holds the flame, or, ooh, I like your candle, can I come over here? Oh, you're a bonfire, I think I wanna come over here. Oh, let me set that house on fire because I wanna be warm. And we start making all of these decisions sometimes that they're not healthy, they're not good for us. However, we feel powerless to do anything about it, or we just don't know. We think we don't know. And somewhere inside of us, believe me, I knew that there's something wrong and couldn't do anything about it. I didn't think. And Quantum World set that up, that Quantum Combat said, you lose this battle right here, you lose this war right here on the floor, and how are you going to decide when you Phoenix rise again? Are you going to keep coming at it with that incorrect assumption from the very beginning that I'm somehow broken, I'm somehow whatever? And I didn't say not having accountability. There's no blame or shame headed my way anymore because I don't want to hear it. I want to hear my accountability. What can I do to bring resolution for me and then you, if that's what I'm called to do? As I read my own energy, as I scan my body and understand, my whole life was nothing but that feeling of, I used to say it all the time, I've got the creeps, I've got the creeps, I've got the creeps. And it was simply, the incorrect assumption and the incongruence, the dissonance and the inharmony of things that were coming up against my quantum field and bumping it up against what I really believed in the core of me is I'm a good person and I really want to do the right thing. I really want to bring forth, my brilliance. And I know I think do I have anything? And something caught me about Joan of Arc that she said, I am not afraid for I was born to do this. That was after I was dumped. And I never knew if Joan of Arc honestly was a real person. And when I looked it up, I was happy to know that, oh yes, she was indeed a very real person and a young woman who she had visions from God telling her about, hey, help that lame duck king can't get his butt installed. I can give you, divinity said, I'm going to give you the download of here's some battle plans. Help him get his behind where he belongs in the throne and get France back from being completely destroyed and abandoned and left with emotional devastation, etc. And she took one right till the very end and cried out in Jesus Christ's name that I go down for this because my divinity, my spark of wonder, my delight, my energy and my synergy, I'm not willing to trinergy it that way any longer. I would rather go up in smoke. And she did her Phoenix Rising. She just didn't get the standing ovation that Jesus did and was not known to be, the great disciple, etc., that he was. However, it's the same story, if you will. I mean, it seems like it would be somewhat sacrilegious to say, no, it's not. She was just a person. However, that's some pretty high regard that I hold someone who's willing to allow themselves to be set on fire because they refuse, even after helping the king get installed, and then he turns his back on her. Betrayal. Pulls a, hi, Good Friday, and she went up in flames. And she recanted. They took her to the fire and said, you sure you want to do the fire? And she goes, no, I don't want to do that. And within, I think, 24 hours, she's like, yeah, I'm over with that. I'm not about it. I'm just going to keep on looking and cooking exactly like that. And throw me up there and cry out in Jesus Christ's name. I'm not afraid, for I was born to do this. And she was less than 20 whenever she died. So a woman that in the 1400s made a huge impact to me in 2019, that I wrote it up on my mirror, and I have no idea, I don't even remember. I think I was watching MASH, actually, old 70s show, MASH unit doctors in Korea, in the Korean conflict. And they get to a point where some of the characters are, being bombed, and it's just a man and a woman, and, playing a game. Well, is it a man or a woman? And she finally says, Joan of Arc. And he says, of course. And I've been watching that show since the 70s and very dedicated to it, used to be. And I heard that and I went, I think I'm going to solve that little puzzle today and find out if she in fact was a real woman. And she was. And it couldn't have been more helpful to me to get that message that I'm dumped, I don't matter, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I remembered Oh, yeah. I'm terribly afraid because I don't think I was really born. I don't think I'm really alive. Nobody seems to notice me. Joan, would you like to take the mic? Yeah, let me drop it right here there, girl, and say, yeah, pull it in, Katie, my friend, and hear the message that nobody gave me a standing ovation. I got canonized and all that, and yay me. However, I was willing to die for my cause. And I think the cause of forgiving and unconditional love, I think that's a pretty good cause, that she unconditionally loved her source and wasn't willing to be defiled or disgraced for one more second. She was willing to be replaced. Thank you. I will take my high honors the way that you won't give it to me. However, I will not allow you to come into my temple and disrespect me like that any longer, because I'm not afraid. And wow, what a powerful statement. Can't say that, I'm willing to go that far and say, yeah, sure. Anybody that wants to set me on fire, I'm willing to, believe what I believe. I also am not willing to really be too afraid of too much anymore. I mean, when you've been abandoned and left with nothing, and I have no housing, I have, okay, I have housing. I have the solution. It is being no longer a part of the problem, first of all. That helps considerably with, let's just shut that down because I'm not sure if I'm afraid or not. And am I afraid? Well, no, I'm not, because as a child, when I wanted something, I just did it. Doesn't mean I ran people over necessarily. It means that if I wanted to go to the beach and nobody was going, I went on my bike. Oh, it's 12 miles? Who cares, And was doing things, unchecked that probably wasn't the best in terms of, I doubt that my parents knew what I was really doing whenever I was gone for hours at a time. But, the streetlight theory of, be home by the time the streetlights come on, that's kind of the era that I grew up in. And Ted Bundy hadn't made his way through Florida State just yet until, I got to be a teenager, and I was on to other things that, more suited me and my divinity. However, I was answering my own need and my own call out of, just sheer family dynamics that left me abandoned emotionally, physically, etc., neglect, yada, yada, yada. And it still was very nice to be able to say, yeah, as a kid, I wasn't afraid. Now, as an adult, I can say, let's put some healthy respect there on boundaries of, there are things that need to be not afraid of necessarily. However, am I going to test the odds on that and see if I can go Hunger Games and succeed? Or shall I, there are just entanglements that, why would I bleed unnecessarily for me or thee, unless I'm willing to go up in a puff right now, and I'm not necessarily. However, don't think I wouldn't hold my ground and allow someone to take me out if they really weren't going to back down and it was between, this option or this option. It would depend on what the situation was, how hard I was willing to stand my ground. And that ground got shrunk down to here I am with critters, that it's me and 5 critters, and we have no job, we have no money, we have no house, there's a lot of stuff we don't have. And so how can I be unafraid is to go more Joan of Arc about that and say, well, it's going to be to feel kind of sick to my stomach and try to order some groceries today, and the grocery store is closed, and I was wanting to order them because I just wanted something that wasn't quite so healthy, honestly. Been having weird cravings and really want a cup of coffee, and I don't drink coffee anymore. I don't even have the pot. And so, and Mildred's here with her anxiety attack of, and not now. It's not the appropriate time for her to be funking around in my sublime, and she went on, because the honesty and the integrity of that is not now. This is not your time. This is my time. The synergy of me wants to create trinergy, not get into quantum combat down here with little Buck Private who, this isn't about you. I'm doing my work, God's work, right here, and God understanding as I see it, which is to be perhaps looking unkind. I'm very firm in my boundaries because there's not much that I'm willing to fight for. And I'm willing to fight for my sovereignty, absolutely, right to the core, and my team. And who's on my team? Well, at the moment, it's 5 critters, and we'll see how it goes. I could make it very easy on myself and just start dumping and get rid of. And that's not what I'm about. I'm all about, let's really truly solve the problem by, first of all, backing up and not being a part of that problem any longer. That's easier said than done unless I'm willing to really open up my mind and get beyond liturgical understanding or biblical, in some way or whatever, if there's a cram jam frequency that's saying it must be done this way, then we're going to get the same music, the same exact chording and the same, that'll be Gregorian chant all day, and it's got its place, it's beautiful. However, I really want to know what Vivaldi and Bach was like, and I also want to know about Mozart, and I also want to know about Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, I want to be able to know that there's so much more to the frequency at its core and how it can explode out into the cosmos. That's what I'm about. That's what I want to know, because if I want that stale Yale, that's kind of boring and it's predictable. And derivative, is that the word? Derivative. It's boring AF. And so this Easter, how did she rose? Well, up off the floor. And every time I'm able to raise my head and look around with hope and wonder and delight, even the tiniest little bit, I have to be willing to know that that's possible, first of all. And I was, because as a child, I knew that. And by the time I got to be 50 and a half, you're fired. What? Well, sad, lots of pain, lots of drain, and I don't think I can do this anymore. And I kept living through it. And near-death experience a long time ago, 8 years ago, in the hospital for 4.5 months, and really started changing some concepts and some beliefs in me about what I was willing to do anymore to get out the door with an equation that's wrong, and it's gonna quite possibly explode off the pad. And in 1986, the Challenger, in January of 1986, I was home from school in Daytona Beach, Florida, where I was raised, and NASA sent up a nothing. NASA tried to send the Challenger up, and it went less than a minute into its launch, I believe, or less than 2 minutes at least. And I thought, I don't know if I can trust anyone, because if the engineers can't get that off the ground and into outer space without exploding it. I looked up in the sky and went, that's really weird. That's not the way that usually looks. Because in Florida, where I lived, you could go out and see it. It wasn't, like visible that I saw it this big. It was like that. And then it turned into, that's not how that usually looks. And we didn't have little comms devices. We had those things that were plugged into walls and had little antennas. So that was the TV. And the 24/7 didn't exist. It went to that little weird screen at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. So I went inside and I felt absolutely horrified and thought, my life just changed forever, that I'm not sure I can trust anything. And boy, was I in for a big surprise that you're right, baby. You're not going to be able to trust anything and believe that it is absolutely foolproof. Even the engineers at NASA, and I'm sure that there's somebody or a bunch of somebody, it came down to somebody's mission control launched that, whose decision ultimately and how they dealt with it, etc. Who knows? All I know, though, wasn't just about destroying the hopes and dreams of an 18-year-old who's getting ready to graduate from high school and have no idea that it's, that's going to be very ugly because you're wrong math, and wrong math on get it up off the ground, because we're more interested in having this launch today than to take a look at the conditions that were kind of questionable. And the whole crew lost their lives, and children lost their parents, and the whole crew on the ground, everybody was shaken to their core. And I'm getting chills now just remembering just how, oh my God, because it was the first civilian to go up, a woman that they hired, a teacher, and it was a big deal. It was a big marketing thing. We're going to get up into space and we're not going to make it because we're more interested in the space race, I guess. Now, it's not meant to be blame and shame. It's meant to be, what's the accountability on that? Is just to get the lesson, the metaphor. I don't care about fingering an individual, though that pain would maybe have me go, well, it's your fault. And is that really going to resolve the chord for me? Or do I want to sit with the knowledge of, oh, God, like when the Twin Towers went down, of, oh, God, it's got to stop. Mission control cannot launch stuff off the pad and expect it with a, about a 50-50 on that one, or what is that, about 70? I want my odds to be way, way up there. And if I don't even know what they are, if I'm not thinking about it realistically, if I'm not thinking about it from the synergistic standpoint of how is that really gonna alchemize. It's not if I don't even know that it's that needs to be changed. It has to be upcycled. That's not going to work. It's going to launch something off the pad, and then it will take a very long time for the whole program to be re-implemented and reinstated and rebuilt. And now we have International Space Station, which maybe we would have had that International Space Station much quicker if we hadn't been so willing to push the envelope of decision making. And again, it's not the specifics. I don't know that they could absolutely say that person is in charge and that was their decision. Don't know that it was that. I just know there were questionable circumstances about humidity, the temperature, etc., that there was enough doubt to cause for pause. And the decision, now I'm sure that those astronauts and every single ground crew member has to know that when you're doing that leading edge thought stuff, it's not a crowded spot for a reason, because it's leading edge. And it's putting it out there that I'm going to the moon, I'm going to outer space, I'm going to go to Mars, or we're launching stuff. It's going to be on that cutting edge of my butt sitting underneath, or underneath me is sitting rocket fuel to break the atmosphere to get out of the gravitational pull of Earth, or bad paradigm, old ugly paradigm, toxic family, dysfunction, etc., toxic relationships, however it's showing up. I'm pushing the envelope. If I'm playing those odds and I don't even know I'm in the Hunger Games, or that, that's rocket fuel underneath me, I want to have some respect for that and know that those people didn't get into that without knowing that was the possibility, I'm sure. And they probably it's believed that they were very conscious of the fact that, something really ugly is getting ready to happen. So however many seconds of that they were aware of, who knows? I don't think I really want to know, except to get to the juicy kernel of that is, how can we know more and how can we grow more from that experience so that the divinity and the trinity and the trinergy that was created of that doesn't get lost in quantum decay of learn the lesson, so that ambition and the desire and the drive to be throwing it out there on the leading edge of thought, it's awesome. However, if you're going to throw it out there and you're slinging and swinging, and people are going to die, precious resources, etc., and then shut down. And then take that metaphor in any direction, because it happens all the time. We shut ourselves down. We shut other people down. We shut ideas down. We shut down a lot of stuff, and it's born out of our own individual pain and our inability, for whatever reason. Somebody has to be willing to be on the leading edge of thought about, I'm going to take command of my own spaceship there, Bob. I don't need you to be my emotional rescuer. I do, however, really need me to rescue me, to give me some rescue breaths and say, there's some Joan of Arc courage, and let me breathe some into your little mouth there, Katie Poo, and get your butt up off the floor. Because do you want to launch off a pad and be exploded and be had? Or do you want to, pull yourself together and say, okay, I have some accountability here. Of course I have accountability, 100% of it. 100% of accountability that is mine, and not go digging in anybody's weird closet about where else it should be that I'm not willing to, take that and end up divorced instead. And that's fine, because I'd rather stand where I am today, looking a little haggard, looking a little, feeling kind of sick to my stomach still, and 3344, and looking and noticing the sublime far more. And that serves me to retool, rebrand, and repackage what I am, so that I'm presenting that in an equation that actually is going to launch my rockets off the pad with about a 95% success rate, or whatever it is. And if I'm going into some sort of quantum entanglement that is less than holy, less than sacred, less than good intention, like honorable intention, respectful intention, if I don't even know what those rules are, then, goodness gracious, I'm trying to teach myself gravity by allowing somebody else to define what they're doing as nothing. They don't say that's gravity. I just know that I'm hitting the ground. Well, let's bring some education and shine a big old giant light on that and say, what is that? And what it is each person has their own accountability for their emotions, their life, everything. And until we can really know that and grow that, we might be continuing to walk around, with our little doorknob of, what are you willing to hang on my doorknob about me that I'm willing to believe? Which would be, you're bad, you're terrible, you're awful, and what am I willing to hang on your doorknob whenever we're coming at it? Runner, chaser. My equation for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if I overgive, then there's going to be a pulling away. And that vacuous, infinity, that's infinity. Nope, that is eternity. I see that as different. Infinity is that 8, right? That's going up, up, up. As Jesus did, Joan of Arc too, as far as I'm concerned, that's being committed and ascending up out of that old paradigm that says, I have to have it my way, or that person doesn't deserve because, well, they hurt me, so they should have to do. And can go there in a second. Of course, entitlement and how dare they? Of course, we all can. However, there has to be somebody who's willing to be on that leading edge of thought and say, okay, I'm willing to take my chances and go with, the odds are maybe not in my favor, and trust mission control and know that I'm gambling my life. And I'd certainly much rather be sitting on top of actual rocket fuel, that's possibly going to have that grand and glorious opportunity to make it to outer space and risk the fact that I'll explode in front of my children and and it'll be a horrible, life-changing moment in at least one person's life in Daytona Beach. And that if I'm not willing to do that, then I shouldn't go in there all pie-eyed. And I doubt that any one of those crew members went into it that blind or that unwilling to notice the reality of it. However, we can slide into our lives and those beliefs about ourselves and not even realize that you're sitting on rocket fuel. You have any idea? Nope, until you're fired. That exploded off the pad, and wasn't that an interesting day to pick it all up and go, okay, well, where do I stand today? It's Easter Sunday, and I've resurrected that I'm not willing to put myself out there and be in dynamics where you're asking me to defy law of gravity and trust you, and I'm already feeling a little bit of, I'm gonna listen to that all day long rather than sit and analyze everything. Well, this is where you did this, and this is where, because I could assign blame and I could take, we did that. That's combat. It's Mortal Kombat too. And mind murdering someone, they eventually, we give up, and then we turn, it's a self-imposed imprisonment, and that we then, anywhere we can find the control and the ability to grab a moment. That's not how I want to grab a moment, because I find that in the self-empowerment that came with, you're on your own. You're emotionally devastated and left and blah, blah, blah. How are you going to do it? Are you going to launch some more with that same exact equation and hope that the Titanic it'll make it the next time? It's the same ship. There's no redesign. It's the same exact ship. They just resurrected and put it right in the harbor. Didn't even bother to paint it after a while. Has the barnacles and the And why would I do that? Take from those experiences, cull out what is necessary to learn, skip all the recrimination and, the burn, take accountability, which that can really hurt and really be hard to deal with, those choices I've made that have left people with hurt of theirs that I inflicted, intentionally or not intentionally, really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, because pain was caused. So whether or not, they could finger one particular person for the Challenger, all the family members, all the crew members, all of anybody that was watching that and was deeply affected by it and had a personal tie in there, even for those of us that didn't, game changer, game changer. So there's that. It's 38 minutes, almost 39, and there's so many things that are in the sublime to know and feel kind of and itching and all kinds of stuff, and I'd still rather be here trying to figure it out. I am figuring it out. There's no try. It's do only. Do. No try. Do. That's what Yoda said. He didn't say, well, try to figure it out. He just said do. There you go. Little short green dude with the little cute ears. Do only. Try not. Do. Do only. And Star Wars was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Gave me great inspiration. Great inspiration. And so, Stormtrooper or not, Jedi warrior, Jedi master or not, little green guy, Obi-Wan. Which part do I want to play? I want to play all of those roles and know which one is the one necessary to get the job done. And where I need to be, flying my Millennium Falcon, I better be absolutely right on top of it and not with a busted spaceship either. However, if I need to be in my TIE fighter and taking out the Death Star, then how about I just get right to that and stop? We're going to put a little thing in that Death Star. That's bad paradigm. I don't care what the name is. I don't care what the entitlement was. It's a bad paradigm, and it doesn't serve the rebel resistance one little bit if I don't get my job done and actually take the Death Star down. All I've done is piss off the and he's still a threat, and he's going to double back down as he's, building up his entitlement to it's mine instead. And how did we arrive at that? Because I said, okay, well, that paradigm is dead for me. Happy Easter, and where shall I be in a month? Well, I don't know. I have to be out of here by May 1st, so what an interesting ride. What an interesting way to go. However, the little girl and me, they used to get on her bike and just go. Move to New York City. I think I'm going to move to New York City. Cool. I think I'm going to join the Army. Cool. I was terrified. I didn't know how I was going to do that. I just knew that, Kuwait was invaded. I have stuff to do. It isn't involved with sticking around here. I got stuff to do. And so I was terrified and went to basic training and listened to the recruiter say, ooh, you got to learn how to run and do push-ups. Well, that was not my favorite thing, because running just wasn't really ever, that did not come easily to me ever. Whereas other things, of athletic type that did not. However, it was meant more to me to be a part of that team than it was to welch out on the idea, because I knew instantly that's just what I need to do. And I don't have to explain it to anyone. I didn't even notice all of the faces going, I'm sure they were there, because I've heard, later that, oh yeah, we kind of wondered about that. And I can't explain that. And when I started to and really fell down hard into that whole paradigm, holy cow, 300 pounds and near death and crazy on meds to try to fix problems that really don't exist. In quantum reality, they existed here in 3D reality, because I was making that reality based on a wrong premise. The assumption right from the beginning was wrong. I'm broken. Nope, because I still got on a plane, a bus, whatever, and made it to basic training. And I didn't roll out or roll back or get booted out. I showed up on time when I was told to, and wasn't really, well suited for the job in terms of physically being able to do those 2 miles. And, not take 18 minutes to do it, or 25. I was always, right there, even though I, worked with the recruiter and we did the whole drill. I mean, we did it, and I still wasn't all that good at it. However, it meant more to me to be there doing that and committed to that passion of, oh yeah, I got to go do that. So I believe I'll take my resurrection experience and say I wasn't too afraid. I was not afraid, for I was born to do that. And I wasn't born to do that, apparently, because I didn't make a career out of it. Got sidelined with something else, getting distracted with, oh, okay, I'm not that. Oh, okay. Well, what else shall I let define me? A lot of things. And now I let me define me, because my synergy is just fine. It doesn't need to be redefined. It already is defined as synergy from divinity, and that's a trinergy that, yeah, I'm good. I've got my sublime in line, and I don't need a coach that's going to insist this play at this time. I can bring in technical expertise, and I could. And if I'm a seasoned pro, perhaps I offer some to, Nuke Lelouch, who might be firing it off with his fastball. And yeah, you're going to want to not do that, I want to bring the heat. Okay, we'll lose the whole shutout then to your ego. And I've got several videos and lots of stories that go on for days about ego struggle, and we can do it. It's certainly set up in that quantum field for combat anytime we wanna. However, why don't we step out of that long enough to go, okay, if I just ease up off of that, let me try not leading with my ego for just 3 minutes. Let me just do that. And it's amazing to see what has happened, all the transformation. It's hard for me to even remember what it was like to go, what? Because truth, somebody said it years ago, that once you know the truth and you start speaking it, you'll never shut up again. And that person was right. I have no idea who it was. Couldn't tell you. It was decades ago that somebody said, don't worry, girl, the minute that you know the truth, you just won't be able to ever say anything but the truth. And what I was knowing in that time of profoundly not growing was that truth, I could see the potential in other people and where they could possibly energetically be. However, seeing that potential and, the acorn actually growing up into the tree, if it's got no seed in it, then that's not something that can really have potential to do anything except not be an acorn. Not be a tree, not be an oak tree. It has potential to be empty and unavailable to grow anything and be a nice little reminder for Catherine, Katie Poo, hey, how did you want to do that? And I look for those places where I can grow my divinity and make my little acorns into giant trees if I want to, and then not sow other seeds that might be growing stuff that, I don't really think I want to do that garden that way, and I certainly don't care to be having to weed out my garden with an invasive, species of weed that just takes over. And I need to rethink my whole, garden strategy and how I'm doing it. So my stomach is saying to me, I think it's time that we let that go now. And I wanted my groceries, man. I'm not going to get them. So I call my favorite restaurant and nope, not going to get that either. Happy Easter. So welcome to She Rose, old Kate Rose. Yeah, I rose. I got out of bed today and I haven't wanted to eat a thing that I've had here. And I've had terrible cravings and it doesn't seem like I've made progress and I don't have a job and I don't, blah, blah, blah. And it's all good because get on the bus and go to basic training, whether you have fear or not, do it anyway. And it doesn't magically fill in without understanding my within. So may you go forward today and every other day inspired by something, inspired by you, the divinity of you. And how do you do that? Go within and take the filter out of what anybody else is telling you about what is within, because I'm pretty sure that that acorn seed, whether it's in the ground growing as a tree or not right now, whatever used to be in here, it already knows in its structural DNA and understanding, it already knows that I'm an oak tree. So for me, I'm happy to put my little globe right there and say, that is my acorn. And everywhere I drop one of those wholesome little seeds of goodness, wonder, delight, etc., doesn't mean that I'm a nice person 24/7. It means my intention is to sow very wholesome seeds everywhere I go. Then I'm going to have a forest before too long, and I won't be standing around wondering whether the earth is going to be here in 100 years, whether humankind will still be alive, because we're outrunning the resources faster than we can, keep up with the fear and the pace of gotta have more, and answer that need more of what's that about and why? What need can be met inside that doesn't involve another person? Because that acorn, it doesn't need anybody else to take it out and put it into fertile ground. It's gonna grow, even better perhaps, maybe. It's definitely not gonna grow at all if it doesn't make it into the ground, or it's eaten by a squirrel. I mean, there's going to be a certain amount that just don't make it. However, every single human being, please be careful about where you're sowing your seeds and where you're willing to give a seed and have it planted somewhere that may or may not be what you're willing to identify with. So enjoy your Easter hippity hoppity, right? Hippity hoppity, bippity boppity in the Easter bunny. And fertility, spring, rejuvenation, and life. Find something to enjoy inside of you. And it doesn't necessarily come easily. You have to work for it sometimes. Some people just have their charmed and blessed life. Things are rarely as they appear. They're not always the way that they look out here. And not many of us are willing to be really right down to the level raw about what's going on for realsy. I am, because I want to help people and I want to get them past that point of believing that anybody else holds your reason for bringing yourself forward, or holds your fire or your flame, or the ability to put you out by dumping the ocean on top of you. Balance, balance, balance. So thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will continue to keep uploading content and looking for my next spot of where do I belong with my critters, or, parting from that team of, I thought they were meant to go with me, and I'm more consistently interested in how do I meet the needs of me, and reading the energy that perhaps it's time for us to part ways. Perhaps they're not meant to go to the next phase of life with me. I don't know. That's not my ethic, to just scramble and run without being absolutely fully 100% sure. And right now, I'm in a transition period where, my metamorphosis is not complete exactly. I haven't made it out of the chrysalis just yet, and the wings are still forming, and I might still be kind of drying as I'm unraveling my wings and stuff, and it's gonna take me a minute, and I'm gonna be super gentle and kind with myself and not let anybody into a Frankenstein laboratory with that and monkey around with it and tell me how it should be or what I should be doing to speed along or what I should, nope, and get out of any laboratory where I'm trying to do that Frankenstein action on anybody else. So happy chemistry, happy physics, happy synergy and trinergy. May you divine very well, make your choices that are in the sublime, put them out here into real time and enjoy your day wholesomely and take nothing away from anyone else because you're too busy meeting your own need of how can I reach safety and peace within me and be loving and kind. That probably would take most of us all day. So craving or not, nauseous or not, get on the plane, get on the bus, get on the train, get on the spaceship, whatever it is, and know the odds and then be willing to take the risk, regardless of what it is. And I'm not willing to explode off the pad over petty, this over here. I'm willing to take the risk over here because that's my priority. And then not stand around in any rooms of doubt with people who'd be willing to dogpile with me out of their lack of courage. I'm not afraid, for I was born to do this, and I'll still die someday. And you can be sure that before that day comes, I'm gonna be living like the little girl that came into the woman that said, yeah, I'm all about that. That's what I wanna do. And jet skiing for my birthday, I've been talking about it for 3 years now. And I don't even know if I'm gonna be here in Florida to be doing that for my birthday at the end of May. However, don't think that I won't be wherever I need to be, making it happen, Captain, because I've got my whole entire life is on the line and 5 little critters who are looking to me to be the opposable thumb. So a lot of pressure and get her done. Thank you for your time and happy Easter and enjoy your day. And ham with pineapple would be really good right about now. And the restaurant's closed and so is the store. And so super salad. Yeah, happy Easter.